Trick or treat, trick or treat, trick or treat for Halloween. Better give a treat that's good to eat if you want to keep life serene. Trick or treat, trick or treat, trick or treat, trick or treat, trick or treat the whole night through. Little scalawags with fiendish gags can make it tough on you.
Too hot. It's so good though. So I decided that I want to spend today doing all things spooky and autumnal. So I figured you guys could spend the day with me doing all the activities. I know I want to bake the Pillsbury pumpkin sugar cookies. They're so iconic. I don't even know if they taste good because I've never had them before, but I see everybody making them for Halloween, so I'm gonna make them today. And then go on a picnic or read in my favorite cemetery, carve pumpkins, maybe walk down to the bookstore, and of course, finish the night off with a lot of Halloween candy and hocus pocus. I'm actually grateful to the weather. It's totally got the mood for Halloween. It's really blustery and quite gloomy. So it's only 7 a.m. right now. The day is just beginning, so let's go. I need to finish my tea though, it's so good.
If you go down in the woods today, you're sure of a big surprise. If you go down in the woods today, you'd better go in disguise. For every bear that ever there was will gather there for certain, because today's the day the teddy bears have their picnic.
I started the morning with my favorite pumpkin spice donuts from this amazing local bakery. And then the plan was to go for a walk and look at all of the Halloween decorations. It's one of my favorite things to do on Halloween morning. Okay, I think I'm gonna head to the bookstore because it's really chilly outside. I wanna get in somewhere warm, maybe grab a drink and a book, and then head to my favorite cemetery. Honestly, sometimes it feels like I live in an alternate Stars Hollow. Our downtown is so quaint and all the stores give out candy to the kids. The most beautiful trees line the streets, and even the bookstore is a bit extra. My goal for the bookstore was to find a few spooky books. I love spending a decent amount of time on Halloween lost in a good classic ghost story or murder mystery. I saw some beautiful classics like this edition of Dracula, and then one of my all-time favorites by Agatha Christie, and Then There Were None. I probably would have gotten this one if it had a dust jacket, but look how beautiful. So beautiful. And then I got to the cemetery and just set up a little place to have a bit of a picnic. Here at my favorite cemetery, and this one actually has a bit of haunted history, and someone was actually buried alive here as well. It's a bit blustery and there's a bit of a nip in the air, but I love it. It just adds to the mood and the experience. It's really, really lovely and peaceful here. It's one of my favorite places to come. I want to preface though, if you ever do come to a cemetery to read or go on a picnic or walk or anything, make sure to clean up after yourself and make it so that nobody can tell that you were there after you're gone. So I did pick up some books. The first one that I got is the Penguin Book of Witches, and I picked this one up because there's a whole section on Salem and the witch trials, so I just thought that would be perfect, especially with it being Halloween. And then I also got Agatha Christie's Halloween Party. I love Agatha Christie. She's one of my favorite writers, and I have not yet read this one. And then I picked up The Death of Jane Lawrence by Caitlin Starling. I grabbed this one because it says that it's a Crimson Peak inspired story. Oh, the leaves are falling down. This is magical. Oh my gosh. So yeah, it says on the inside of the dust jacket that it is a Crimson Peak inspired story, and it says that every expectation that you would have for the book has the foundation from Shirley Jackson and Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca, which is my favorite book of all time. I think I have pretty high expectations because if you compare anything to Rebecca, it needs to be really good. So those are the 3 books that I got. I think that I am going to spend my time here reading a Halloween story, and then I also have some pumpkin bread and my little ghost cookie, and then I think after this we are going to do some pumpkin carving. Watching a movie about ghosts and chopping up this pumpkin, I figured why not just take it a step further and talk about death, but more specifically some of the crazy and horrifying deaths from the Victorian period. Let's start off with the one that absolutely traumatized me when I first heard it. I will never forget it because I couldn't imagine that someone could die this way. Like, it just seems like something that would happen in my nightmares, but it actually happened. So we're starting in England. It was 1875, I believe, and there was this factory and a mouse came out of the wood, and this woman was screaming and a man came over to save her from said mouse. He picks it up and it gets out of his grasp. You know, where else does it go? So it goes up his sleeve, and then also trying to escape, it comes up through his neck hole. And I guess his mouth looked like a doorway to somewhere safe, so the mouse went into the guy's mouth, and then I guess he just thought maybe his throat was a doorway to further escaping. So he crawled down the man's throat, and the man is gagging, trying to get it out, but it keeps going further down. So the belief that mice can survive without air for a decent amount of time was sadly proven true, because the mouse is kind of down there struggling without air, trying to escape, so it bit and clawed its way through this man's throat. And as you can imagine, the result was that this poor man died after being in agony from the mouse trying to escape his throat. Moving on to the next one, I'm pretty sure this was also Victorian England, but a woman, 30 years old, decently healthy, shows up to a doctor and is in tons of pain, and all of a sudden has all of these health problems, and she doesn't know what's wrong. The doctor can't figure it out because she seems perfectly healthy. So after not figuring out what was wrong, she died of causes still unknown to the doctor. And after she died, the doctor asked if he could do a postmortem to figure out what she really died from. And that is when he discovered a solid lump of human hair weighing 2 pounds and looking like, this is how they described it, a black duck with a very long neck. That's what the BBC article said, and now I can't get that image out of my head. That's so gross. The doctor then named that as the cause of death. And later on, the sister came out and said, I don't know who she said it to, but she said that her sister, the one who died, had been eating her own hair for the past 12 years. So don't eat your hair, guys. You could literally die. And then in 1870, this one actually took place in Iran, there's this woman, and she is like the epitome of a cat lady. She was rich, just spending her days to her heart's content with cats, which sounds lovely, right? But then one night there was a fire and these two maids were sent to get the cats out of the rooms that they slept in. But at that point, the fire and smoke had gotten so bad, it had driven the cats into a bit of a frenzy. They were not thinking straight, they just wanted out. And so when the maids opened the doors, the cats jumped at them and clawed and bit them and scratched them. Even though they were free from the fire, they just didn't stop. And the two maids ended up in the hospital where their injuries were so bad they died. Like, I think within a few hours. So sad. And then we have the double burial. This was 1872 in London. The 1870s, man, they were a hard time. So he worked at the London cemetery and he was a coffin bearer. Is that what they're called? The guys who carry the coffins? And as we all know, the UK is known for wet and rainy weather. So on this day, it was, as you can imagine, a bit wet and rainy. So as he's carrying this coffin, he slips a bit. And as he was slipping, he fell into the hole for the coffin, but the other coffin bearers didn't want to fall with him. So they dropped the coffin on top of him as he was falling in, and it crushed him immediately. Like, you just think you're doing your job. You're doing your job so well, and then all of a sudden you're dead. Okay, I am going to finish this up because I'm doing this too slowly while I'm talking. I'll see you with the reveal.
Jeepers creepers, where'd you get those peepers? All those weepers, how they hypnotize. Where'd you get those eyes?
At this point, I wanted to do some sort of spooky craft, but I've been really enjoying this new Samhain and Halloween themed coloring book that I got recently. It's full of history as well as pages to draw on. It's like the best combination. I love it so much. And then I also decided to make a caramel apple because I love these and I haven't had any yet this season. Pecans and caramel and semi-sweet chocolate is my favorite combination. And then while I was drawing, I turned on the audiobook for Halloween Party by Agatha Christie, the book that I started earlier in the cemetery. And it was such a good combination with the Samhain coloring book and the murder mystery in my headphones. And then I had my butterbeer and my caramel apple. It was so nice. So I've got my caramel apple, I've got my butterbeer, and my absolute favorite coloring book. I am obsessed. I found this Season of the Witch coloring book this year, and I am going to keep this for years to come. And it's so fun because it doesn't just have pictures for Halloween. It gives backstory on Samhain. So like right here, it talks about Samhain, the roots of Halloween. It tells you how to pronounce it. It gives you dates and a lot of history. So I am just going to finish up this page that I started, and then I think we're gonna get cozy and get ready to watch Hocus Pocus. So here I'm just finishing up and I love the way it turned out. So then I went and got my cozy Halloween sweatshirt. It says Halloween Town on it. The nights are getting colder now, so this was the perfect thing to wear for my annual Hocus Pocus viewing. So then I got out the Pillsbury pumpkin cookies and I wanted a warm drink, so I made some pumpkin milk to go along with the cookies. The pumpkin milk is really simple to make. I just use some almond milk, cinnamon, pumpkin pie spice, pumpkin puree, and a bit of maple syrup, and heat it over the stove and you're good to go. I did end up finishing Halloween Party and it was very, very good, but it wasn't my absolute favorite, so I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars.
Allison.
Hi.
hang him on a hook and let me play with him?
No. Book, darling, come to mommy. Yes. His punishment must be more fulsome, more lingering. Dazzle me, my darling. Let's see, amnesia, bunions, children's cholera. We can do better than that, I think. Let's see what we have. Oh,